So today's video we will talk about a lab setup that I have in my VirtualBox. This whole thing is inside my VirtualBox. And if you are serious about learning routing and firewalls and even just these two things, the routing and the firewalls, and you need to have a setup with VIOS, you can you're going to have to do multiple routers. And in this example, I am using 4 routers that I have installed. And what I'm trying to demonstrate here is really that if you're doing this, you're going to have to update the OS for new features and bug fixes. And instead of going to each router to do it, what I've done is I've installed another VIOS that connects to my Wi-Fi, and this is also sitting in my VirtualBox, and I'll show you the setup for that. And this VIOS has connection to the internet and through my Wi-Fi, laptop Wi-Fi, and it's got a source NAT that we have learned in the previous videos as well. So once you configure this VIOS to be connected to the internet through NAT, and you also have source NAT configured, the next thing you're going to have to do is point these routers 1, 2, 3, 4 with a default gateway on this segment. I'm just choosing 1110 segment, 1110 segment /24 for my out-of-band management. So this is called out-of-band management, where you access your network through this network, but your actual network is this one where you are doing all your production stuff. So your production, your application, and what have you is going to be sitting in this part of the world, and all the network components, routers, firewalls, switches, everyone is going to be connected to this network segment. So if you have firewalls, if you have load balancers, and you have, what have you, even switches, everything should ideally be connected to an out-of-band net management network where you would have a host. In my case, I have a CentOS 7, which is I'm using to automate configuration pushes to these routers. And I'm also, so I don't have to go one by one, and I'll demonstrate that. So we'll look at how to change host names on all 4 of these automatically through a management host. I'm going to be using expect here to demonstrate or automate the automation. I've already put up a video with Python, but here I'm going to be using expect. Expect is pretty straightforward. When you get Linux or CentOS 7, you just do a yum update first, and after you do the yum update, you do yum install. If I can write properly here, install expect. And once you do that, you can run expect scripts, and I'll show you those scripts. So let's make sure that we understand again. Each VIOS is got, in my case, 4 interfaces. These 3 are for you to play and learn, configure these interfaces to whatever networks you want to configure and play with. Keep this one as a constant. Don't bother this one for your lab setup. E3, E4, or E2, whichever you choose. Keep them as a constant, and make sure all of these routers are able to reach this guy. And again, the way I'm doing that is just using a default gateway, default route, pointing to this one, this router here, which is 111.100. So the reachability in this case for all of these routers is good. Everybody can talk to each other. my host, my scripting host here can talk to all of these routers, and therefore we can run any scripts. We'll use SSH, so make sure that SSH is enabled. I've put up a video in terms of how to enable SSH. So we'll SSH automatically into them and push config changes or push OS upgrades. And when you run those OS upgrade commands on these routers, they will automatically know where to go because it's a DNS name. So for that, you need to configure on these routers. You would need, even this one, you would need a default route to the internet NAT router, which we already talked about. And the second command that you need is just to make sure that the DNS server is accessible and configured. So the download process, if you have seen the video, it goes and tries to connect to a link called download.vios.io. So this needs to be translated, this English needs to be translated into an IP address, and that function is a function of DNS, and therefore you need this DNS configuration here. You're basically telling the routers that go understand what this means and go talk to him about that. So when they go talk to the Google DNS would say, okay, this URL means a specific IP, and that's how they reach that specific IP to get the image. And you can watch that internet download image for VIOS. Again, make sure that you have SSH enabled for all of them. By default, it's not enabled, so make sure you do that. Let's go and take a look at the configuration. I'll just go through the internet router first. This is my internet router, and its network first interface is connected to the management network, which is our management out-of-band network. And the second adapter is connected as a NAT, simple NAT. Nothing more, not NAT network, but just NAT. So once you do that, your internet router is ready. All the other routers, again, are connected through my segment. My fourth adapter is a management interface, and that's all of them are like that. And so let's take a look at the configuration or do some demonstration. So here's my VIOS1. So what I'm going to try to do here, I'm going to notice the router name, right? We're going to try to change the host name here. So right now it's saying RTR1, router 1. So we're just going to exit that just to show that the router name would change, right? For this guy, it's going to be RTR2 and RTR3. Here it's RTR4. We're just going to change that automatically through a script. Show you the script as well. So RTR4. So we'll go to our automation server, which is my Linux CentOS 7. And I've got this script here which says set host name sh. It's this one right here. So let's take a look at that script. More set host. This is the a small script that would go ahead and change the host name for all the loopbacks, all the routers. So make sure your IP addressing is in a sequence so that you can use a for loop to access them in a sequence, in a sequential manner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and add addition of 1. It's a sequence. That's exactly what I'm trying to do in the for loop. I'm just going to first one, and I'm expecting a colon. I'm passing a password. Then I'm expecting a prompt called with the $sign, and then I'm saying okay, configure with the enter. And then once I get into configure mode, my prompt changes. So I'm saying expect this, and then I'm setting a host name to whatever I'm going to be putting in there. I'm actually taking a user input here. You can take a snapshot of this script here. It starts like here from this line all over here. It's a very small script. You can take a snapshot of this, customize this for your IP addresses, and it should run fine. Make sure you do have expect. So the way to figure that out is when you type expect, it'll give you this prompt. And I've already told you how to do an expect install. Yum install expect should give you expect installation, provided that you have internet connection on your CentOS. Okay, so once you set the host name, you expect this, you do a commit with the enter, you get this again, you're just expecting. That's the only annoying part with expect. And we can also look at how we solve that problem when we have a lot of commands. And then we save it, and that's it. So let's run this command and see what happens with our host name here. Again, as you can see, the host names are RTRs. All of them are RTRs, and we're going to change that to something else, right? Automatically without touching these routers. This is an internet router. We're not touching this one. Just the four routers here. So we're going to say set. So this is how you run a bash script. Once you write the bash script, you gotta do this too. You gotta, you can write it in nano or whatever you want. So nano set host, you write the script or you paste it, and then you gotta do chmod +x and then set host, enter. I've already done that, so I'm not gonna do this, but this is the command to make it executable. Once you do that, it would change its color to green. Or whatever your terminal shows. This, my terminal is MobaXterm. I love this program. Anyway, so let's go ahead and set the host name. So I'm gonna say, okay, I am gonna go capital router, and there you go. It'll also show you what it's doing automatically. So I think it's done with router 1. Let's go check router 1. Boom, router 1. I think it's done with router 2. Boom, router 2, router 3, and router 4. So yeah, this is how you would push out your automation using expect. Again, you can do similar stuff with Python. I've already shown you a Python script example, but I think I kind of like expect. The only annoying part with expect is, again, that you have to tell it again and again that you're expecting it. For small scripts, not an issue, but let's say if I have to show you this one here, here's the upgrade one. So if you wanna upgrade, if you wanna take a snapshot of this guy, you can do that. It runs from here to here. Basically, you're doing the same thing. You're entering the IP manually. You're asking for a user input. You're upgrading one by one. And then the only difference here is that I'm putting, since the download takes a little time, I'm putting the script to sleep time based on your internet speed. It takes a minute or two for my internet to download this image, so I'm putting it to a sleep for 80 seconds. And every other command I'm just putting sleep for 3 seconds, and so that it doesn't run out of time. So you may get that issue with expect, that if you don't set out if you set the timeout to be too quick, you may run out of time, or it may time out and it may not do. So you can play with this timer here, set timeout, and also the sleep command after 1 or 2 commands, just to see how your BIOS is behaving or how your internet is behaving. But this is a straightforward script that will upgrade your routers without going to them again and again. Just run the script and it'll do the job for you once you have this in place. So that's the setup for that's the configuration for this setup here, and once you have this thing done, don't mess with these interfaces. Keep them here. You can play with the other interfaces for OSPF, BGP, firewalling, all the other features you want to play with in learning your networking skills or sharpening your networking skills. But in a production network, typically you would ideally have a out-of-band management network like this, where you can access and change the configuration on the production side, so that if you mess up something on the production site, you do not lose access to your routers. So if you configure something incorrectly, human error, you still have access from out-of-band to these routers, because you're sitting here and pushing configs, or you're sitting here and SSHing them and accessing these routers. So this out-of-band network is critical for large networks. It doesn't have to be large, but it makes your life much more easier to do things, troubleshoot things, and and ensuring that you don't lock yourself out. But hope you can enjoy the expect scripts and play with it, and get the network automation as a skill set.